for the last couple of weeks, the interim GWP manager has been in the process of obtaining opinions from selected members of the community to guide him in the process of creating a rate structure to propose to the City Council. And personally, I think there's a problem with the manner in which this process is taking place. During this last Glendale Water and Power Commission, I had an opportunity to inquire as to where these particular meetings are taking place, who's involved, on what day and what time. And I asked several of the staff members of the Glendale Water and Power present here in this chambers that didn't know. Finally, I asked Mr. Zurn, and apparently the meeting was taking place in his office within 1 hour after the end of the meeting. Of course, I wanted to participate. I figured if there's something that I know something about, is electricity rates. I've been studying them for a few years. I've been speaking before the Glendale Water and Power for at least 5. And I'm a very active member of the Apartment Association of Greater Los Angeles. So I figure with 70% of the population living in multifamily housing, I wondered whether maybe Charles Schultz and Company was involved in to give input, the largest apartment management firm in Glendale, whether Landmark was involved. But I did inquire with the association of the apartment, and nobody was called to get some kind of input from the largest housing provider in the city of Glendale. So I believe that this process of selecting individuals that appear to be a collection of individuals who know something about electricity rates left something out. And the thing that was left out is the level of transparency and participation required by the Brown Act. Personally, I believe that this is a violation of the Brown Act. And if it isn't, it's a violation of the spirit of the Brown Act. Because if the district attorney finds that the individuals present are in violation, they are subject to misdemeanors and penalties against each and every participant. Where a member, and I'm quoting here, knew or has reason to know the public was entitled to receive that information. And that's my major contention here, that if we are going to promote transparency, if we are going to discuss something as critically important as electricity rates, that this process must be transparent and encompassing to bring in as many members of the communities from all the communities in Glendale so that they can participate. I wanted to suggest that the records and the information on all of the homeowners and residents and apartment dwellers who have filed for petitions to have their electricity bills reconsidered, that be brought forward. There are thousands of them who applied to get a break on their electricity bill because they receive a 48-hour notice of shutoff. In other words, there is an affordability problem that is very, very significant. And as a landlord, I know that that's a problem because my tenants oftentimes stop me and ask why it is that their rates are so incredibly high when their relatives who live in Hollywood and other parts of nearby cities don't have such an incredibly high bill. I believe that there is a level of history that need to be brought forward, that the overall impacts coming into the future and the purpose for those increases should be vetted out in public as much as possible. So this is my appeal to the City Council and the City staff, that this process be thought over, because should it be found in violation, everything starts and the clock comes right back. Thank you very much.
Scott Peer, followed by Margaret Hammond.
Good evening, Your Honor. Members of the council are here, staff, and members of the audience, the public. My name is Margaret Hammond. I'm here tonight as a citizen of Glendale. I belong to many groups, one of them which, of course, I'm proud to belong to, is the Glendale Homeowners Coordinating Council. And I'm here tonight to discuss the appointments to the Glendale Power and Water Commission where the meeting was held Thursday, June 14th of last week. The first email in the packet that I give you is an email from Mr. Powers of GWP to Todd Hunt, read the proposed meeting confirming Todd Hunt's participating in the GWP Electric Rate Advisory Committee. Email number 2 of 5/21, Todd responded to Mr. Powers declining the participation due to a family problem, but naming Lenore Solis and giving her information. Email number 3, June 6, Lenore Solis to Todd Hunt, no answer, read the information or date of the meeting or location. Email number 4, June 7, Todd Hunt to Lenore, stating that he sent the email, another email to Martin on the 7th and had called him. Email number 5, June 7th, Lenore Solis to Todd Hunt. She sent stating that she had sent an email to Mr. Powers to say today, as of that day, on June 7th. Email number 6, June 7th, Lenore Solis to Mr. Powers, IDing herself as being the rep from the umbrella group of GHCC, and felt that she had been assigned, or at least to represent the homeowners group. Well, apparently that was not the way it was, but that was the way that it appeared to be, if you look at the emails. The next thing, we have a newspaper, and with Mr. Ochoa, explains the fund transfers. He supports reducing the sum of electricity money to the general fund in a way that makes sense. But in that same article, it says there was an advisory committee made up of representatives from the umbrella organization for Glendale homeowners and association, and businesses, hospitals, and the school district. So they met that night. All right, but apparently when there was a question raised, Lenore questioned, well, where was the meeting and why hadn't she been told about it? The answer came back from a person who was present that she was not the person that had been appointed, that another person had been appointed by Mr. Zurn, Peter Fuad. Now, none of this came to, it says right in the paper, the umbrella group of the Glendale Homeowners Coordinating Council. We knew nothing of Mr. Fuad being appointed to that commission. We'd like to pass this on. It's right in here. Not that I'm making any of this up. You have it in front of you. You have the proof. I did receive, there's an email, number 7, and it's from Mr. Ochoa to Lenore, and it states that this was a confusion. The electric committee is basically a focus group, a collector of various opinion leaders representing different constituency throughout the community. The idea was to learn from something, the water will increase episode by whatever, field testing, so forth and so forth. As for the membership of the committee, we selected, amongst others, Todd Hunt, who happens to be the president of the Coordinating Council, as opposed to selecting the president of the Coordinating Council, who happens to be Todd Hunt. The idea was not to give a seat to the Coordinating Council, which could then be redirected by the Coordinating Council. And I do apologize if the idea was conveyed that we wanted the Coordinating Council to give us a name. That was never my intent. Again, the idea was to select Todd and not necessarily the position he holds in the community.
Okay,
Thus, when
thank
he was
you.
unbelievable,
the time is done.
We
Time's done, Ms. Hammond. Come on, it's been a long
Again,
night.
sorry if it caused a tempest in a teapot.
Lenore Solis is right behind you.
Good evening.
Followed by Aram Kazazian.
Good evening, Lenore Solis, resident of Glendale. I think the whole confusion could have been resolved if when Todd sent the email, the first email on May 29th to Mr. Powers, if he had simply responded saying, if you're not going to be on it, then don't worry about it, we'll find somebody else. I think another issue was that I wasn't at the meeting. I was told by somebody else, so I don't want to put words into Mr. Zurn's mouth that he didn't say, but I was told that a comment was made that since the Glendale Homeowners Coordinating Council did not respond, they chose Peter Fuad from the Northwest Homeowners Association. So I don't know what went on. All I know is that several emails went back and forth, so Mr. Powers had at least 5 opportunities to say, hey, you guys, don't worry about it, we'll take care of it. And that didn't happen, so I don't know if Mr. Powers is not going to be the scapegoat or what happened, but if somebody at that meeting said that the Glendale Homeowners Coordinating Council did not respond, I just want to make it clear that that is untrue. Electric rates in Glendale are a very high priority and of great concern, and the Glendale Homeowners Coordinating Council has had an electric GWP committee for many years, which I have been on along with other members. So it's just want to make it very clear to the community that it is a priority for the GHCC. I'm not here to speak on behalf of the GHCC. I'm a board member, but we did not have a board meeting about this. I'm just responding to the emails that went back and forth and the comment that was attributed to Mr. Zurn at the meeting. Now I want to put on a different hat.
Thank you. Aram Kazazian.
Good evening. My name is Aram Kazazian. I'm over here to ask you to correct a little problem there is. Regarding the committee for the Glendale Water and Power, the advisory board was made of. I have a difficulty on that. I found out about it on last Wednesday at the Glendale Water and Power Commission meeting, which I asked some questions on that. It bothers me that it's a secret committee meeting in secrecy, which is not open to public. That's really very, very shameful for Glendale to do that. I would like to change that, have the meeting open so the public can at least listen. If they don't need to participate, they should listen to what they were saying. Also, Glendale Homeowners Coordinating Council, there's a question asked that night of Mr. Zurn. Mr. Zurn exactly said that Glendale Homeowners Coordinating Council didn't respond. That's what I heard, and it says, so we went directly to Northwest Glendale. He did not give a name. When we asked for the name, he did not give the name. I am the one who guessed the name as Peter Fuad, because Peter Fuad has come to over here to the committee, to the city council, and he has said that we have to increase the water rates, we have to increase the electricity rate. I'm supporting the increases in the past. So that's why we figured that name was picked on that group. Also, Lenore Solis is a very, very intelligent person. She has all the knowledge about Glendale Water and Power. She used to be in the Glendale Water and Power Commission many years ago. She is the one that the Homeowners Coordinating Council asked for her to be on, and I think that should be respected. And that should be taken care of. Also, Steve Zurn that day said that Glendale school board or college board, I'm not sure, they said they declined to ask. They said we went and asked them for someone from their committee to sit on it. They said they wrote us a decline letter saying that we declined, we don't have anybody to sit on it, and they were pulled out of it, away from it, so they were not represented. So I would very much ask the city council over here to reverse that decision that was made and the city manager's help so we can get the secret committee so we can have Lenore Solis on there and to be open to the public so the public can listen to see what's going on. Okay, so that's one thing. I'm going to go on the transfers. The transfers, as I heard over here 3 weeks ago, Professor Harry Zavos, retired Professor Harry Zavos, claimed that the transfers are illegal, which if you look at the charter, he provided copies of the charter. The charter is very clear, states that any excess funds from the Glendale Water and Power, after all maintenance have been done, that money to go to the Glendale Water Power Reserve Fund and to stay there and not to be dispersed, and they could loan the money out and they have to get the money back again. So if when we haven't heard anything about it, and I know somebody said that, I don't know, remember who it was, we don't want to give that information out because for the good of the public, we don't want to release that city attorney's decision on it, which kind of is a bothersome item to say that we don't want to release the findings of the city attorneys. Thank you very much, and I would appreciate again you reconsider that tonight, and so we'll not be going any further. Put Lenore Solis on that. Thank you.
Okay, any comments?
Mr. Mayor, can I just really quickly provide some clarification on this thing? The hypersensitivity surrounding this particular issue is palpable. The situation that's been described by some of the speakers, with all due respect, because I don't expect there's anything other than just a desire to be involved. However, what we heard loud and clear in moving through the water rate increase discussion and the rate restructure was that if all you have are a series of community meetings, a handful of folks will show up, a very small handful of folks. And as you see through any number of major decisions, major policy decisions made by City Council, folks are apt to show up at the very last minute when the decision is imminent, as opposed to any of the education meetings that were held. That's compounded by the notion, as we discovered in the water rate increase discussion, that we as GWP are crafting plans and strategies and funding scenarios that work very well for GWP and for the city and for the organization for the capital replacement and maintenance of the system, not necessarily for folks who have to pay that bill. And we heard that comment. We listened to the direction of council to be more empathetic to what the sensitivities are for those customers. So, recognizing that we will have a public process and it'll do the community meetings wherein again we will probably have a handful of folks show up at those community meetings until the decision is imminent in front of the city council and everyone will come in. What we wanted to do is avoid the situation in which we had not road tested that idea, that concept, that strategy for the increase, the proposed increase of rates in a vacuum without any kind of participation or any kind of input from opinion leaders from around the community. A focus group, a secret committee is a very melodramatic way to describe this. It's a focus group. And when you have an idea, as the GWP staff has, for increasing rates for all the different issues facing GWP, we want to make sure that we are taking into account the various respective limitations and situations that are espoused by our customers. Once we do that, once we believe that, okay, we have understood what folks from these respective walks of life have to say and how they feel, then we will go and have the public input process as we normally would, and we probably will get a handful of folks, although I will tell you again, learning the lesson from the GWP water rate process, we will do a great deal more by way of media, whether it's on TV, multi-language, using social media, using our own GTV6, trying to find a way to get the message out, because ultimately we want to bring back to the council a strategy, a program that you all can feel very comfortable in the fact that at least people knew, and better still, people understood. Still may disagree, council may disagree, but we had to put that out there. Now, if we are going to do it in a public forum, then we may as well just go ahead and have the public meetings as we normally had or would have, one in the north, one in the middle, one in the south, and then maybe a couple of meetings wherever we weren't getting a whole lot of participation. That's one way to do it. I think a little bit more intelligent way to do it is to really try to listen to what folks in the community are saying, absent all of the innuendo and cloak and dagger types of editorials, and instead be able to come up with something that makes sense for people on the street. The idea that we would have a group that's impaneled by staff that, by the way, is not a Brown Act body, very clear to make sure that that was not a Brown Act body, so it's not a Brown Act violation, is just a way for us to fine-tune what the message is, to make sure that the thinking is consistent with what the limitations, capabilities, and specific nuances are of our respective customers, and then be able to put that message out in front of these folks. That's all it is. There's nothing more to it. There's nothing else.
Well, let me add that Peter Fwad has been a president of the Northwest Homeowners Association, one of the largest homeowner groups in the city for many, many years. He's a retired corporate attorney, and he's certainly not a pushover, and he's certainly going to contribute to the committee.
And I would only just add one last thing on that particular point. The idea I've gotten to know in my limited time here so far, Mr. Hunt, who is a steadfast community leader, known through interactions with the coordinating council and with Qantas and other places, who seems to have a good beat on the pulse of the community. He was unavailable. And so we moved on to another person to represent homeowners. The idea, as I wrote to Ms. Solis earlier, as mentioned by Ms. Hammond, is that we selected Todd Hunt, who happened to be the president of the coordinating council, as opposed to going to the coordinating council, who happened to be Todd Hunt. The idea is that this is a very loose focus group of folks. That's all this is.
Mr. Weaver.